What's going on, people? It's Kid Shorty Gaming Nation here with this topic. Um, First of all, to begin, right? Um, you have to understand I demand respect on my channel. So when people come into my comment section, people come into my live chats or whatever, and you disrespecting me, I'm gonna give you that energy. Feel me? I'm not trying to cultivate an audience where you're not intelligent or you're just being trolls. I'm trying to cultivate an intelligent audience that can have discussions and disagreements and debates with each other, but at the same time keep it cordial and respectful, right? All right, cool. But anyway, doing this topic, why do men fail to hold women accountable under the mask or the disguise of male responsibility? Now, the angry man, shout out to the angry man. Uh, his talking point was not really a talking point because it has substance. But his point of view is that the men on YouTube will avoid holding women accountable and instead talk about male responsibility, right? Now the thing is, men have always been responsible for themselves. Men have always been charged with holding themselves together, making sure a man is holding himself down and being responsible for himself, being responsible for what he say he gonna do, being responsible in his community. You know, if we're not responsible or held accountable for ourselves, there's consequences for that. But with women, when they're not held responsible for themselves or they're not holding themselves accountable for their responsibilities, there's no real live consequences for that when they do that. Even when they get trouble or punished, it's light. It's not as heavy as it. It's not as heavy on as heavy on them as it would be a man, right? Um, the thing is, in these spaces on YouTube, every time you talk about what the women need to be doing, it's always, well, no, you men need to focus on yourself and hold yourself accountable, and the women will follow you. What's the message? Let me see the message, bro. Hide, please. If you're gonna come into my chat, like, respect my channel. Feel me? So now I have to delete this person. What's going on, Sarah? Uh, Hide this channel. Block this person. This is what I can't understand about trolls. Like, do you not have a life? Like, you don't have other things to do besides going on people's channel and troll them? Like, come on, come on, folks. Now, for the rest of you guys, come in, like the channel, share, speak on the topic. You know what I'm saying? If you troll, I'm gonna talk shit back to you. And I'm talk about how much of a bum you are for coming on my channel to troll me. You must be a bum to do that. But speak to the topic, click the like, subscribe, and share out the channel, right? This is Kid Shorty Gaming Nation. Now, that's why I don't like trolls. They kind of distract you from what you're talking about. Feel me? Now, or whenever the men, because as men, as a leadership, you're supposed to define how your community is going to be ran and how the women, what the women are to do with their responsibilities and hold them accountable to what you say they're supposed to be doing. As a man or as men, that's what you're supposed to be doing. When it comes to black men, specifically in the black culture and black community, every time black men try to tell black women what they need to do and hold them accountable to their responsibilities, it's always another black man that comes out and says, well, you black men need to focus on yourself. You need to hold yourself accountable. And when you hold yourself accountable, the women will follow you. That's a surface level question or surface level statement, right? Because at the end of the day, we're autonomous human beings, and a woman can make a choice and a man can make a choice, right? And with human beings, we're chaos. Women, they're more chaotic. Men were more logical and more authoritative. So it means that we're supposed to tame the chaos or create structure to prevent women from being chaotic. You understand? And when it comes to with women, it's not as simple as them following your lead and them being a reflection of you. They have to choose to follow you. They have to choose to be a reflection of you. And second, you have to mold them into the reflection that you want them to be, right? And with human beings in general, regardless of the gender, if you don't have something there or some kind of structure to remind them what they're supposed to be responsible for, accountable for, they're going to do what the fuck they want to do and go off on a sidebar, right? And we like to pretend that women cannot be evil. We like to pretend that women cannot be problems. The feminist movement is a perfect example. All these women that divorce these men, 80% of the divorce rate. STDs running rampant are highest amongst the women and lowest amongst the men, right? So we have proof in your face that women can be problems, that could be a problem to you. This is why you need to talk to a dating coach to help you or game you up about what's in the dating world so that you can avoid certain women. Why? Because you want to avoid certain women that could become a problem to you, right? And the thing with the dating market now is there's so many women that are problems that that's all you have to choose from. So when people keep saying, well, when a man gets into a relationship with a woman and she becomes a problem for him, they'll put it on the man and say, well, you chose. Well, if the problem woman is all you have to choose from, that's all you're going to pick every time. And the reason for that is that we don't hold women accountable towards their responsibilities, right? Because feminism is women saying we want to break away from being from the patriarchy, or we want to break away from certain contracts or certain responsibilities or certain duties that they need to be upheld to. But at the same time, they want to be in a relationship with a man, and they want a traditional relationship from a man, right? So the thing is, if women want the benefits of a traditional relationship from a man, they have to be held accountable to a traditional standard. And if they don't meet that standard, then they can't get that relationship from that man, right? And the thing with women, right, is they like to play the plausible deniability game. So if you don't tell them or instruct them or give them certain guidelines, they can always turn around and come back and say, well, I didn't know, even though they did know, right? But every time you have these discussions, and I'm 32 years of age, and before YouTube or Manosphere was there, I've seen that problem. Always seen this problem. I've always seen this problem amongst the pro-blacks. I've always seen this problem amongst even outside, even in the black community in general, outside of pro-blackism or whatever pro-black organization there is, where every time black men tries to provide a leadership toward the black women by instructing them, correcting them, and telling them what they need to be doing, it's always some black male simp jumping out the woodwork saying, well, you need to hold yourself accountable. Men need to hold yourself accountable and focus on yourself and don't focus on the women. That's and see, my problem with that line of logic or reasoning is, um, A, when you don't pay attention to what the women are doing, right? They could do things in your environment, in your household, in your community that you don't agree with. And if you don't check that shit, right, they're going to become a bigger problem. That's what feminism is. Feminism started with the women's suffrage group. And look how big and look how that group grown today. You got black women that are celebrating deleting 20 million babies via a Planned Parenthood, which is something that feminism created by Margaret Sanger. And by the way, The original term for the original name for Planned Parenthood was called the Negro Project. Go search that up. This is Margaret Sanger, feminist, right? Trying to wipe out black folks. And black women bit that apple, followed that trend, and look at the problems that it caused. See, if Adam had paid attention to what Eve was doing, he could have checked her and stopped her from biting that apple. Or if she had brought that apple for him to eat, he could have checked that shit, but he didn't. See what I'm saying? See, as a leader or the head of your household, you have to, at the same time, focus on yourself and your own household and your own program and how you want to build your kingdom. But at the same time, you have to pay attention to what's going on in your community. So now, when the women and the children or other people are creating problems in your community, you could check that and create a solution and prevent it before it becomes a parasite that's difficult to get rid of, right? With parasites, if you eat uncooked fish or uncooked, unseasoned fish or pork, like look how much parasites does a pork have, that the pig has. And you don't clean that pork properly, you don't season it properly, you don't do the things you need to kill the worms that's in it properly, you don't cook it properly, and you eat it and you digest it and it goes into your stomach. Those parasites that go into your belly can grow into huge problems. And even if you go to a doctor, they're going to put you on all kinds of different parasitical cleanse to cleanse all those worms out of you, which is what you see right now going on with black women and the community, where the black men have been programmed to say, have been programmed to not check women or believe that by you checking a woman or holding a woman accountable, it's a weakness in your masculinity. No. This is why we have the problems that we have in the black culture and the black community today. And as Angry Man says, we often like to avoid female accountability and talk about male responsibility. Black men are always held responsible. And we've been holding ourselves responsible. We've been stepping up and adjusting our game. Feel me? We've always done that. When it comes to fatherhood, black men are 70% involved in their child's life. When it comes to money, on average, black men make more money than black women. We still need to step those things up, but you know what I'm saying? Now black men are not going to jail or prison as they used to back in the 80s and 90s. And even that needs to be challenged, because a lot of the brothers that went to jail in the 80s and the 90s, that was as a result of a lot of racism that was going on amongst NYPD and various different police organizations across America. If you know, we have stuff like the Innocent Projects and these various projects where they're trying to free black men for wrongfully being incarcerated, and come to find out the DNA evidence didn't match that person, or some kind of funny business was happening with the police officer, on the police officer's end. But regardless, black men and men in general have always held themselves responsible. We can't avoid that. If we don't hold ourselves responsible, then we'll go back to being the savages. You see what I'm saying? And just because you have male responsibility, that does not take away from female accountability. Because if it's my job as a man, or my responsibility as a man is to create infrastructure, to create laws, to make sure that food is on the table, to make sure that water flows, to make sure that you have land to plant seeds and you have land to grow crop and poultry, so you can get the chicken and cook it. I have to set laws and guidelines and hold you accountable to those guidelines. And when you step out of those guidelines, I got to check you for that. I got to give a consequence for that. And because black women, or women in general in Western culture, to be honest, and because in Western culture, but really, I'm talking really about black culture and and the black community, really and truly, right? In our culture, and I don't care if it's Caribbean black or black American, same shit or similar shit, whatever. Because black men were not allowed to check the women on what's going on, the women haven't gotten better. See, black men, we've checked each other, we've checked ourselves, and we've gotten better. Black women have gotten worse. And the more you hear black women come out and talk on social media, the more you recognize that it's not black men that's the problem. I've heard black women get on this social media and say they willingly know that they willingly avoid straight dudes who was about their business and pick to sleep with gay niggas and get pregnant by the gay niggas. I've heard them say that. I've heard black women get up on social media and say black men are bullet bags. And Dr. Umar Johnson wanted to tell you dudes who are about your business and you black men who are good dudes to get into a relationship with them, with these type of women that are hostile. And then we wonder why black men keep choosing the wrong type of women to deal with. And then when we tell black men to get into relationships or get into a monogamous situation with a black woman, he gets into that relationship. That black woman messes up his life. We don't hold her accountable. We don't check her. We don't say, well, hold on. We told this brother, society told this brother, we told this brother to do this. And you messed his life up. We don't hold women accountable. And then they continue to do the same thing over and over again. And then what we do is we tell the men to be responsible and accountable. Right? See, accountability and responsibility is a choice. You have to choose to hold yourself accountable. And women can choose to hold themselves accountable to their men, or they can choose not to be. Women have already proved that as of late. Women have proved and let, especially in black culture, with the whole sprinkle, sprinkle, sparkle thing, black women have not only said what they're going to do, but have done what they said they're going to do. And they've chosen to hold themselves accountable to their own nonsense and influences that are not black men. We're not traditional black men anyway, right? Even if the black man is not traditional, but he's a black man that got some sense about him. They choose not to listen to a black man's influence and listen to other influences. This is why you could go on social media and you can listen to 3 or 4 speak and give you advice because nobody's checking that shit. I heard a 3 or 4 talk about prostitution and marriage is the same thing. How is prostitution and marriage the same thing? You're selling your box to make money, putting yourself out there at risk for STIs and all kind of other demonic things. But the person who's in a marriage, right, she's being of service to her man and the man is being of service to her. And she's in a relationship. She doesn't have to put herself on a corner out there in the darkness with the demons. A married woman doesn't have to do that. But, and see, that's the whole equalitarian, what do you call it, equality thing in black culture, where everybody believes we're all equal. No, we're not equal. The lady's not equal to the 3 or 4. The woman that's married and got a relationship from a black man is not the same as the whole or the 3 or 4 on the corner selling box. They're not the same. They're not on the same level. The 3 or 4 is down here. The woman that's married is up here. They're not the same people. But these people get podcasts to speak. These people get to speak to you bullshit. And they don't get checked. And every time black men check that, other black men want to tell you and me to focus on ourselves and don't focus on what the women are doing. And then when the women become a problem in society or in the community, we want to blame, well, black men, it's your fault because you allowed it. Well, if we was allowed to check them and correct them, that shit would have never been allowed in the first place. See, that's a logical conundrum. There's a contradiction between talking points that you hear a lot of these niggas say on the internet. One breath, they tell you, focus on yourself, don't focus on the woman. But when the woman does something negative or stupid, it's your fault. Maybe you need to fix that talking point. Maybe say, focus on yourself, but pay attention to what's going on around you. Right? And I'm going to go into the reason why a lot of these cats on the internet You're now starting to see these dudes and these podcasts, and even with their dating coaches and the relationship coaches, people, they're coming out and they're saying certain things like it's better if you check a woman, or if it's better if you hold a woman accountable. There's a reason why they're saying that, right? We already know why the simps say it, the mama's boys say it, right? And Angry Man did a beautiful breakdown of that. And I think Angry Man, he said something to the effect of, well, a lot of these young boys that grew up in a house where their mother was sleeping with different dudes, or they may have had a stepfather that was rough with their mother, and the young boy took that as the stepfather or whatever dude the mother was dealing with as disrespect towards the mother. And a lot of the mama boys that you see coming onto the internet, they're trying to protect other women because they couldn't protect their mom from the guys that their mother choose to dealt with. I think that's how Angry Man broke it down, right? But there's other groups of dudes on here, and their reasoning for why they're telling men not to hold the women accountable and trying to gaslight you to tell you that it's better for you to check the women is not that they're mama's boys, but as long as the women are in chaos and they're free with their sexuality, a lot of the guys that are enjoying the box, the promiscuous women box out here, they're benefiting from that. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you see a lot of guys on YouTube now coming out and telling the men that you're beta for checking the women, and that you're not supposed to focus or pay attention to the women, focus on yourself, or holding women accountable is weakening your masculinity. That's why they're telling you that. They're not going to honestly directly say that the reason why they don't want you men to check the women is because it might take away their enjoyment or their engagement with the promiscuous women, right? In the 304 culture. Because if the men really put their foot down and check shit with the women, a lot of whole phases wouldn't go on. A lot of what you call the 304 culture wouldn't go on. A lot of hot girl summers wouldn't go on. You feel me? But um what I was gonna say, it was in my brain and I lost it. So my fault. Um let's break it down like this, right? Um Men of the past, kings, nobles, even the average man, the man of his house, was always supposed to check his woman and hold his woman accountable in his household. Remember, we're talking about from the early 1900s, from before that time, all the way up to the 80s and the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and even before now, before COVID. It was never a beta. You were never a beta or considered a weak in your masculinity because you held a woman accountable or you checked her. That was what you were supposed to do. As a matter of fact, that's what a simp was. A simp was a person that didn't put his foot down when his woman was being disrespectful, or he didn't check his woman in his household. That's what a lot of boomers did, messed up at. A lot of the boomers that were in a happy wife, happy life situation, they didn't check their women, they didn't check their daughters when they were being disrespectful. And that's what cultivated the culture today of a lot of these women being disrespectful to the men in general because of the boomers' failures into holding the women accountable, holding their daughters accountable, and etc. Right? So to say that, a man is a beta for holding a woman accountable, what about a military sergeant? What about your boss or your CEO at a company? What about the police officer? You see what I'm saying? And because men, you're in authority position, or black men, you're in authoritative position, you're in leadership, you're supposed to hold the women accountable. As long as they're going to be benefiting from your masculinity, they're going to be in your house, they're going to be benefiting from what you provide, you have to hold them accountable, right? Now, um, let me break it down like this. I think where this whole holding women accountable is beta, or this whole It's better to check women started because of Kevin Samuels, right? Kevin Samuels, when he touched the scene, and he was in a patriarchal position because Kevin Samuels was trying to teach black men how to be in a patriarchal position or in a position of power. And what Kevin Samuels was doing, he was holding black women accountable. He was holding various women accountable, but mainly black women accountable. You see what I'm saying? So what that did, or the effect that that have on it, is that you had a lot of black women saying, "Oh shit, you know, high value man, this is the standard for masculinity. Let me get my stuff together. Let me work on myself. Or I can't engage in certain things if I want this type of man." You feel me? So what that did to the black culture and to black community is it helped men who are in that position of power, or to get black men into that position of power, and at the same time able to identify women that he shouldn't be dealing with. Now with women, if they now with this is the, and that's the consequence that can be provided to women, right? If a woman wants a traditional black man, she can't be a 3 or 4 engaged in that kind of lifestyle. See what I'm saying? And for a moment, because Kevin Samuel was alive, right? Those was a lot of women were listening, and they were changing their shit together. They were getting their stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And I break it down like this. Say in black culture, you have 100 women, right? Say out of the 100 women, 20%, say out of the 100 women, you have 10% that are going to be ladies no matter what, no matter what. And then you have 10% of women that's going to be 3 or 4s no matter what, right? And then you have 80% of the women that are undecided. They could go either way. What happened is that in black culture, you had a lot of player, mac, and pimp game. And because the 3 or 4s are over here, and they were and the pimps and the max and the players, they were influencing women to be 3 or 4s. It kind of leaked. The women kind of linked more to the player and the 3 or 4 culture, and the player pimp and mac culture that was here. So it's kind of leaning more to this. When traditional men like Kevin Samuels, Anton Daniels, and Angry Man came, it influenced the women to go more over here to the right side. And then it even took some of the 80% of women that was leaning more towards the 3 or 4 culture, and it was leaning them back over here. See what I'm saying? So that's what Kevin Samuels, the Anton Daniels, and the Angry Mans did. It gave a more traditional masculine influence, traditional masculinity, to influence both black men and black women to being towards being more traditional. So what you started to see is a lot of players in real life, even the simps. I don't want to call these next group of black men simps. It's like the little hotep niggas, hotep dudes. A lot of hotep dudes, like a Derek Jackson or like a Dr. Umar Johnson, they're really not simps. You feel me? They just say shit that the women want to hear, and they benefit from getting money and free box and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So what happened was a lot of these men, they were starting to lose out on the benefits from either box from black women, money from black women, a lot of broke dudes who were getting into relationships with black women. A lot of the broke niggas was losing out too. Because the broke niggas had to step their game up, because now you have Anton Daniels, you have a Angry Man, you have Kevin Samuels, and you have black men that are aiming to get to and reach that standard. You see what I'm saying? So what the players started to do, or I shouldn't even say players, right? I should call these kind of black dudes. What name should I give them? I'm gonna come up with a name for them. But a lot of black men, what they decided to do, who are in the player box, who are in the simp box, who are over here, they decided to come on the internet and started to gaslight a lot of these dudes and say, well, you're weak if you check a woman. Uh, you're a beta if you hold a woman accountable. What's the other ones? There's a couple other ones that they like to say, right? Allow the women to be free. Allow the women to be free to do what? You see what I'm saying? And truth be told, it's really all for the nigga. And watch this. It's niggas that's not even traditional men. It's niggas that's not even traditional men. It's men that don't want to be that want to be a patriarch. It's men that don't want to be traditional. It's men that want to be in open relationships, sex culture, all that other stuff. And see, they're trying to counteract the traditional niggas. And how they counteracting the traditional niggas is they're speaking to a lot of the younger men that never had a traditional household or upbringing in their house. There are a lot of men that were raised by single mothers that come to these spaces. There are a lot of younger men that were that really didn't have a masculine force in their life to train them and teach them how to be men. So what you have is now you have men who are not traditional, who are into alternative lifestyles, who are into sex culture, who are into a lot of things that's outside of tradition, teaching a lot of the younger men on here, right? So what they're influencing the younger men, and the younger men don't know any better. And a lot of the younger men, they want to get boxed, they want to have success with women, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because as men, you're supposed to pursue a woman. That doesn't make you a sucker or a simp. You're supposed to pursue a woman because at the end of the day, this woman is supposed to help you um, pass on your legacy and your lineage, right? She's supposed to help you in your help you pass on your lineage and your legacy. As that man is supposed to help her by giving her guidance, leadership, authority, and structure, right? So you're supposed to pursue women. It's part of your nature as a man to pursue women, right? The part of it is that you're not supposed to be a sucker or be a simp while you're in the pursuit of women. You feel me? But a lot of the guys, a lot of the non-traditional guys, that's what I should call them, the non-traditional guys, they're teaching a lot of the younger men a lot of game that's player and machism. Players say allow women to be free. And the reason why a player will say allow women to be free is because they want that woman. Well, it's really a good thing though. Still, you allow a woman to be free to make her own choices and decisions. You allow that woman to be free to be herself, right? But what the players mean, and they talk indirect when they talk, is they want the women to, want the women to be allowed to be free to be three or fours, allow the women to be free to be promiscuous, allow the women to be free to be um, chaotic, because the player benefits from that, right? Remember, a player is not really monogamous. A player is really open. So as long as he could keep the women free and open, he can engage with those type of women, right? So that's when they say you allow the women to be free. And when you say just allow the women to be free without no context to it, it's open for any subjective interpretation. Because allow the women to be free to do what? Because the men, we're not free. As men in society, we're truly not free. If the men in society was truly to be free, we'd be very violent. We go back to being barbarians and barbaric. You know that men every day we think about doing a lot of dumb stuff, a lot of aggressive, nasty record stuff. So as men, we're not free to really be ourselves. If men were to really be free to be ourselves, it'd be a dangerous America right now. We'd be back, like I said, back to being savages, back to going to war with each other crazy. You see what I'm saying? So as men, we're not really free. We have to be very responsible with the choices we make, and we have to be ready for those consequences when we make those choices. So we're really not free. We're not free to walk away from responsibilities that men are supposed to be doing. If we do that, this whole system called America will fall and collapse. If men did not live up to the responsibilities of the warriors of society, as the builders of society, as the leadership of society, we'd be done. You see what I'm saying? So we're really not free. You know what I'm saying? Man, it may look like that a man is free because he gets to sleep with as many women as he wants, but does he really? Because he still got to be responsible for that. If he wants to do that, if a woman sleeps with 5 women today and he gets all 5 of them pregnant, he got to be responsible for that. He can't run from that. You feel me? So, um, men, we're not really free. You see what I'm saying? But women are allowed to be free. And see, the thing is with the players, and they should know better, they won't be honest and say, well, we want the women to be free to be 3 or 4s so that we can engage in sex culture. I don't know why they don't just come out and say that. I don't know why the players don't just come out and say, well, the reason why we want women to be free and we want women to be free as far as sexual promiscuity is because that's who we want. That's what we want. That's what benefits us. But they won't come out and say that. Instead of them coming out and saying that, no, they're going to come out and tell you other men that there's something wrong with you because you don't want a promiscuous woman, or there's something wrong with you for holding women accountable. You see what I'm saying? And then they want to gaslight you and say, well, women don't control the access to sex. It's really the men that control the access to sex. How? Right now, the best dude, if he wanted to go out here and smash 1,000 women for the week, he might not even make it to 5 women to the week. You know what I'm saying? But if a woman says, I want to get 1,000 bodies before the year is up, she gonna get to 500 bodies by month 5. So men don't really control the access to sex. Women do. Women can stop being promiscuous. I mean, men can stop being promiscuous all day long. It's not gonna stop women from fucking or from finding sex. They gonna find sex. It's very more difficult for a man to find sex than it is for women to find sex. You know what I'm saying? It's not wrong with a man for saying, I don't want a promiscuous chick. And a man being promiscuous, as I just said, I think I said it, is not the same as a woman being promiscuous. A man being promiscuous is not at the same risk as a woman is for being promiscuous and she catching an STI. Right? You see what I'm saying? A woman, when she get pregnant, she can't be having sex while she's pregnant. There's a lot of things that could happen to that baby. Feel me? As a man, all I gotta do is put on a condom. A woman's vaginal cavity, because there's not a lot of air that goes through her vaginal cavity. A lot of yeast. That's why a lot of women have issues with like yeast infection, and they gotta wear certain pants that's breezy so that oxygen can get through their vagina. Because they don't get enough oxygen to their vagina and it doesn't breathe, germs and fungus can build up in there. That shit doesn't happen with dudes. Our Johnson is exposed to air and oxygen that kills the germs. And I can wash my Johnson off quick. Go to the shower, you know what I'm saying? Wash off myself and I'm good. It's not the same with women. Women are in a more vulnerable situation when they're being more promiscuous and they're out there engaging with multiple dudes. It's not the same for guys. You see what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And again, a man being promiscuous He's not going to get the same body count level as, which he's not going to have the same access to sex as a woman that's being promiscuous. You feel me? A man has to go out there and pursue maybe 100 women for the week to maybe be able to smash two or three, depending on the level of that man's game. But um, to go back to my main point, um, to the title of the video, right? Um, you cannot keep on telling a man about responsibility this and accountability that, and trying to tell and trying to get men to be responsible with themselves and hold themselves accountable, and think that the women are going to automatically follow the men. That's not how that works. That's a surface level question. That's a surface level statement. Women without uh, direct guidance, they're going to do what they want according to their own choices and free will and autonomy. You feel me? What the hell? Is that on my pants? What? Kind of bullshit. Damn snail on my pants and shit. I'm crazy. I should step on them. But anyway, women have the autonomy and the free will to choose how they want to operate, especially with the advent of feminism. Feminism has really gave women the power and the ability to operate how they want to operate, do what they want to do, and move how they want to move. And as long as you keep talking about male responsibility without without female accountability, you're going to keep seeing the problems. This is why women who don't qualify for a relationship can keep going into a relationship with a man she doesn't qualify for, because she knows that she's not going to get any consequence. Nobody's going to hold her accountable for anything. This is why a lot of bad women, or women that who have bad intentions and they want to destroy a man's life, can pretend that they qualify for a man that they don't, because they know that even if she destroys her life, society's not going to say anything to her or hold her accountable. Society's going to keep blaming the man and say that you should have chose better, which is true in a sense. But he would have never had the opportunity to choose that chick if she wasn't there for him to choose in the first place. If women like with bad intentions knew that shit, if I mess up this man's life, I'm going to get a consequence. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to get fined. I'm going to get a bad social score on my dating resume. Or my dating resume is not going to look good. And nobody's going to give me a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And as long as you dudes on YouTube, and I see a lot of y'all as of late, especially with that whole Cam Newton and that psychology chick, that therapist chick, a lot of you dudes on YouTube is crazy. And y'all saying a lot of wild stuff. Talking about, oh, Cam Newton is creating a broken home. How the hell is Cam Newton creating a broken home? How is Nick Cannon creating a broken home? Both of these dudes are multimillionaires. Both of them take care of their kids. Both of them take care of their baby mama. How is that a broken home? That's not what black culture was saying a broken home was. Black culture was saying a broken home was a black man that wasn't there at all for that child, wasn't handling his financial responsibilities, wasn't there as far as taking care of the child, being an influence in that child's life. That was what a broken home was according to black culture just 10 years ago, just 20 years ago, before I was born, just 30 years ago. All of a sudden now, a broken home is uh, um, a black man not being married to one woman. Remember, black women said they didn't want marriage from black men. Black women were saying, Single by choice. Ebony K. This was so funny. Ebony K. Williams just a couple of months ago, or a couple of months ago, got pregnant through artificial impregnation, or however you say that word. I'm not going to butcher that word, right? And everybody clapped. These same black women were saying that there was not enough eligible black men, and that was the reason why they weren't getting married, which was BS. See what I'm saying? And I remember growing up, or being born in the '90s, and and growing up in the '90s to 2000, hearing black women say they don't want to get married, they weren't looking for marriage, they wanted to be single. I remember when black men wanted to get married to black women, but black women say, "Nah, we're gonna do a 3 or 4 phase." I remember that when black men would get into marriage and relationships with black women, and these women would play these niggas, cheat on these dudes, get pregnant by another dude outside the relationship. I remember these things. So black women were never really interested in getting married. You see what I'm saying? They weren't speaking that. They weren't preaching that. I remember when the Black Manifest started, and guys like Anger Man and Tommy Sotomayor, shout out to Tommy Sotomayor, was preaching marriage to black women. And black women were saying, "Nah, we don't have to get married to get pregnant. We don't have to follow." Remember them pro-black women were saying that? Pro-black women were saying we don't have to follow the white man and do how society say get married. That's what they were saying. All of a sudden now, a broken home is Cam Newton, a multimillionaire that takes care of his children, that makes sure his baby mamas is taken care of. You don't hear none of his baby mamas complaining. You don't hear Nick Cannon's baby mamas complaining. How is that a broken home? Because that's not what black culture said it was a broken home. But because a lot of you black men don't want to hold black women accountable, because you either want to sleep with them, you want to engage in their promiscuity with them, you want them to keep being chaotic so you could be like Dr. Umar Johnson or Derek Jackson, where you could get money from them. Because women will pay to listen, will put money into bullshit. You're now going to come on the internet and say, tell black men how to lead their fucking community. Because you want the house to burn. Because while the house is burning, you're benefiting from the BS. You're benefiting from black women being goofy. This is why a lot of them player niggas will tell you not to focus on what the women are doing outside of you. That's for open relationships, not monogamy or traditional relationships. Because a lot of them players, they want to engage and have sex with women and not get married in a traditional sense of those women, right? And they still want other men to still deal with a promiscuous women or woman that was a 3 or 4, so that they could keep engaging with them. And they want to convince you to get married or be in a relationship with them and be open with them, so this big old 3 or 4 sex culture thing can continue. Because as long as the men allow a woman to get into a relationship while she's being promiscuous, they're going to continue to be promiscuous. And that really benefits more of the non-traditional dudes. And that's why they're coming out telling other grown-ass men that, you're beta if you hold a woman accountable, or you're weak in your masculinity. That shit women say. Why are grown-ass black men using women language, women linguistics, women bibble babble? Why are black men using words like "what a real man" and "weak in your masculinity"? Your manhood is weak and you're insecure because you don't agree with what we want you to agree with, or because you don't want to engage in promiscuous women. Why do you care? And I wish that a lot of you black men that are non-traditional and you want to engage with promiscuous women, I would just wish y'all would just come out and say, yo, well, We love 304s. We love promiscuous women. And our game is to teach you young men how to manage and lead and turn a promiscuous woman into a housewife. Because in my opinion, only players can do that. Only a pimp can do that. In my opinion. A traditional dude should not be trying to turn no 304 into no housewife. A 304 doesn't deserve to get into a relationship with a traditional guy. She doesn't even deserve to get into a relationship with a 50-50 dude, in my opinion. But rather these brothers come out and say, this is what we like, this is what we do, and this is our game. The traditional niggas do it. Anton Daniels tell you he in a monogamous relationship. And this is how you get into a monogamous relationship. I train women how to be good women and ladies. Anton Daniels does it. Angry Man does it. Kevin Samuels did it. But these dudes out here on YouTube, they're not coming out and saying it. What their intentions are. Well, some of them. Some of them do. Some of the cats in the dating cultures, they tell you that we into open relationship and we into sex culture and we into promiscuous women. So I give them that credit. But there's a lot of guys that don't. You know what I'm saying? That's why other grown men telling y'all not to check these women, because when the men check these women, the women can't do what they want. You know what I'm saying? Well, they could do what they want, but because they know that the consequences for them doing what they want to do or doing what they do is not going to get them a relationship from any kind of dude, they're going to keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? And now it's to the point where the women don't give a damn. You see what I'm saying? The women don't give a damn about the consequences. And the problem that that's going to cause in the long run is that um, a lot of women will not be marriageable. It's going to affect the children that come after me, that come after my cousins and my nieces and my nephews, right? And when it comes time to reproduce and repopulate and get married 10 generations down the line, the women are going to be spoiled and done with because they was doing what they wanted to do now. Some men like the passport bros, they're going to find other countries. But what about the black men that want to stay here in America? Right? We already get shamed and held hostage for dating outside our race. The long run is going to cause, if women are allowed to keep going on where they're going, we're going to be out of existence. And then the men are going to turn around and say, it's our fault because we allowed it. I'm going to tell you niggas, no, it's not. Because when men try to check the situation and hold the women accountable, you niggas said to focus on yourself and don't focus on a woman, or it's weak for a man to hold. So other men stop other men from holding women accountable. That's what's going on YouTube. Other men stopping other men from holding women accountable for a selfish reason. Not because they give a shit about society, not because they give a shit about where the community is going to go, but for their own selfish reasons. Not realizing if that the environment is fucked up, they won't have, they can no longer, if the environment is fucked up or it's messed up, they cannot benefit from it either. The environment affects them. How society moves and talks and operates, it affects them too. That's what they don't, those guys that are selfish, that's what they don't realize. You can have your own personal belief system, you can have your own personal subjective opinions, but but what you cannot avoid is that society can affect your environment. The president can affect your environment. The mayor can affect your environment. How other people act, they can destroy the environment for you. And I'm not even, and this is my thing, I'm not even saying dudes shouldn't be players. A dude shouldn't be um, into open relationships or sex culture or whatever. I think there is a space for both the traditional guy and the non-traditional guy and the player and the Mac and the 50-50 nigga. I think there's a space in the environment for all of those versions of masculinity to exist because they're all the traditional guy, the non-traditional guy, the 50-50 nigga, the player, the Mac, the pimp. They're all masculine. They're all men at the end of the day, and there's a space for that. There's always a space for those kind of men since medieval times, since the Vikings, since whatever time or era before now. Those people always exist. 304s always exist. They always existed. The problem now is that we want to group everybody in the same category or box and make everybody equal to each other. That's the problem, right? And the reason why I'm saying that now is because not every chick is built for a traditional relationship. Not every chick is built for a player or Mac. The problem in black culture is the player, Mac, and 304 influence is heavy in black culture, and you see it. It's not enough traditional masculinity to balance that shit. And not every chick is built to be a 304. You see a lot of chicks or black women regret that shit. Talk about how it messes up their spirit, mess up their mentals, catching STDs out there. They're not built for that. That's why I rocks with Anton Daniels and I rocks with the Angry Man and I rocks with Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, because there was a different influence than what we had it, and there's a chance to kind of correct the community, kind of uh, uh, build or breed a future of traditional men and women for better space, and maybe it would have brought the black culture and black communities to something better than what we got now. But it seems like niggas in these spaces just want it to be a black culture or America to be this big old sex culture. And it's going to lead us to our death and destruction. But anyway, this is Kiss Shorty Gaming Nation. Thank you for some of you guys who tuned in. Make sure you share, click the like, subscribe. I think my Facebook stuff is in the description box. I'm gonna make sure I put it in there. Follow my Facebook. It's the same thing. Kiss Shorty Nation Gaming. And I'm out. Thank you guys.